Before we start using ink, write your name and class on the paper. I will add some ink to the top of the spreading plate. It will be enough ink for at least 4 prints. Take the brayer and dip it into the ink. It should look something like this, but now we want to spread it out. Simply rolling the brayer back and forth will do nothing. See here, the ink is still just on one side of the brayer. There are also thick globs of ink. Instead, hold the plate steady with one hand and roll forward and pick up. Forward, up, and roll forward only the whole time. Notice I did not cross the black line and use up all the ink. Do not cross the black line! To spread the ink even further, move the brayer slightly to the left. Then try moving the brayer slightly to the right and roll forward. Then roll the brayer sideways a few times. Notice I still have not crossed the black line. Do not cross the black line! See here, the ink has been spread evenly across the entire brayer. There are little tiny specks of ink spread evenly all over the place. And I never crossed the black line. Now somebody else can use it. Once the ink is spread out evenly, take the brayer and roll it on top of your foam that you drew on last week. Give the brayer a twist as you roll back and forth. To roll forward, put the very tip of your finger on the corner of the print. When you're finished with the brayer, turn it over and let the metal side touch the table. This foam print now has a nice thin layer of ink consistently spread across the surface. Take the print, flip it over, and put it directly in the center of your piece of paper. Gently press it down a few times so it sticks to the paper. But then flip the paper over. The best way to do this is to press the paper onto the foam. Use your fingertips and find the edges of the foam. Press and rub on the corners and the edges and the middle. You can also use this bamboo pad to help you push. Stand up while you are doing this so you can put your weight into it. You should actually see the foam edges start to appear through your paper. Once you are finished pushing for about a minute, flip the paper over and peel the styrofoam off of the paper. Voila! Once you're finished making a print, you or a friend at your table can use the same brayer and plate and make another print. This brayer looked a little bit dry, so now we are adding more ink to it. Spread out the ink the same way, rolling forward only. My foam print is pretty clean. There was no need to wash it. I'm simply going to take this brayer and roll it over top of the same foam print again. Now I'm going to print this again to the right-hand side. Be very thorough in pushing for a minute straight. After you're finished pushing, flip it over, peel it off, Voila again. Eventually, I'm going to add a third print to this piece. At the end of class, when it is time for you to use the sink, simply take your foam piece and run it under the water. This will get most of the ink off. You could use a little sponge if it's in the sink or your fingertips to get the rest of the ink off. While I'm here, I'm going to rinse off my hands as well using just water. Don't forget, shake your hands off in the sink, not onto the floor. Use one paper towel to dry off your foam print and your hands. This foam is now clean, even though you can still see some of the black ink has stained some of the parts, and that is okay. Throw away paper towels into the trash can. At the end of class, I may choose 1 or 2 students to help clean the spreading plates and the brayers. The spreading plates will have to be scrubbed with a small sponge. The brayers will have to be scrubbed with a sponge too. Be sure to scrub the edges of the brayer as well. If there is a large sponge in the sink, the brayer can be rolled over it to clean it. All the plastic plates should be stacked, separated, so they can dry. We can fit 6 brayers facing upward here. Voila! Your artwork will have to go to the drying rack. If you lay them in like this, you should be able to fit 2 on each shelf. I will try to help you do this. At the very end of class, when everything is off of your table, then we can clean the tables. I will take the sponges and wet them, and then I will squeeze the sponges out. Now it is just a damp sponge, perfect for cleaning tables. Now you can use the damp sponge to wipe up the ink off the table. Try taking the sponge and flipping it over and using the other side. Voila!